The heavens open up, unveiling the Western Ghats. This is one of the world's biggest biodiversity hotspots. Kerala is a verdant land full of streams, lakes, rivers, mountains, forests, rich in biodiversity and home to many unique plants and animals. The beautiful Western Ghats are spread over 129,037 square kilometers. These mountainous forests are home to highly endangered creatures such as tigers, Nilgiri tars, lion-tailed macaws, and elephants. They are also crucial in bringing the bounty of the summer monsoon to India. Every year, these mountains act as a key barrier to the rain-laden winds from the southwest. And they abound with rivers, the importance of which has been studied for decades. Scientist Madhav Gadgil, who headed the Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel in 2011, studied this biodiversity hotspot and wanted all of it declared ecologically sensitive.
Western Ghats, of course, is perhaps the best studied biodiversity-rich regions of India. A lot of information is available, lot of enthusiastic trekkers climb Western Ghats here and there, and about its degradation, in a sense, public awareness has been relatively quite high.
But the landscape of the Western Ghats has been changing. Once pristine forests, these mountains are today under tremendous pressure from a growing human population, deforestation, unsustainable extraction of resources, and altered rainfall patterns. The new monsoon trend has had a devastating effect on the ecology, as Kerala witnessed in 2018 and 19. In 2018, more than 480 people died and 12 districts were badly affected in the floods that hit Kerala. The extreme rainfall in August 2018 in the catchments upstream of the three major reservoirs, Idukki, Kaki, and Periyar, produced a staggering effect, worsening the floods.
There has been global warming, and it is having its impacts all over the world, not just on Western Ghats, all over the world. And one of the scientific results of studies is clearly that the frequency of extreme events, such as very intense rainfall, that is beginning to go up.
Scientists say that the warning signs are all there, that the monsoon pattern is definitely changing.
Irregular monsoon has become the new norm for India. For regions like Kerala and Mumbai in the Western Ghats and parts of central India, the total monsoon is gradually decreasing over a period of time, while the frequency and magnitude of extreme rain events are going up. So this is going to become a new norm for the future as well, where you have more dry periods or droughts intermittent with extreme rainfall events. So what you see over mainland India or Western Ghats region is that with increased Arabian Sea temperatures, you have the fluctuating monsoon winds carrying more moisture from the Arabian Sea and dumping it over India and the Western Ghats within a few hours or a few days' time. So for India, the total rainfall which we received during the monsoon season is showing a gradual decrease. You can see with this grey line. There is a gradual decrease in total monsoon rainfall which we received during June to September. So that decrease is evident during 1950 to 2018. While at the same time, if you look at the number of extreme rain events, this red line, you can see that there is a steady increase in the number of extreme rainfall events over India.
On August 8, 2019, 58 people were buried in their homes when a mountain of mud descended upon them in Kavalappara in Malappuram district. The skies came crashing down in the dark of the night in Kavalappara when there was no power. People didn't realize the magnitude of the tragedy until the next morning. Scenes of loss and trauma unfolded everywhere.
ഭയങ്കര ഇട്ടുമായിരുന്നു. 3 ദിവസമായിട്ട് കറണ്ടും ഇല്ല, ഒന്നുമില്ലായിരുന്നു. മഴ തോരാത്ത മഴയായിരുന്നു.
5 മിനിറ്റ് മുമ്പ് മാറിയതുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ ജീവൻ തിരിച്ചു കിട്ടിയ മണ്ണാണിത്.
Shailaja decided to move away at 7:30 p.m., a decision that saved her life. Her neighbors and distant relatives were not as lucky. People realized that the mud had turned into a tide the previous night, swelling with the flood waters and sweeping down a mountainside on which stood a thin cover of rubber trees. There was a tsunami of mud.
ഞങ്ങളിത് എത്രയോ ദൂരെയാണ്. ഇപ്പം നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത് തോന്നുകയാണ്. എത്രയോ ദൂരെയാണത്. ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ വന്നിട്ട് 32 കൊല്ലമായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ ആ മല കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല അതുവരെ.
The hills that had stood far away for years suddenly seemed to be at their doorstep, bold and imposing. 5 kilometers away from Kavalappara, in Padar, people were evacuated just before the landslides. This prevented the loss of many lives. As the flood waters coursed down further, they created their own path, removing houses, trees, and other obstructions, leaving only a trail of boulders, rubble, and shattered lives. Farmers who relied on the rubber trees lost their land. Their land was now strewn with immovable rocks, dirt, and debris. Their precious rubber trees had vanished. Away from Kavalappara, in Puttumala in Wayanad district, there was another deadly incident. A landslide here killed 17 people overnight. Puttumala is 11 kilometers from Mepadi and known for its tea estates. The land and houses were swept away across several kilometers, leaving a trail of destruction. As news of the destruction echoed across the country, With images flashing of rescuers digging through the rubble and mud looking for survivors, Dr. Gadgil visited the disaster-struck areas. His recommendations had earlier been rejected by the authorities.
I think unfortunately we have a lawless society supported by the state's lawlessness. This is state's lawlessness that environmental impact assessment reports I have written elsewhere, completely fabricated reports are accepted and projects allowed to go on. This is government's lawlessness. When we are pointed out to ecologically highly sensitive areas, allowing disturbances to those areas again very negligently was in part responsible.
But it's not just rainfall. It is evident that mining also triggers landslides in the hills. Kerala has to tackle another major challenge: rock quarrying in the mountains, most of which is illegal. In his report, Dr. Gadgil had called for a halt to rock quarrying in the Ghats.
Kerala, we are concerned more about the quarries, the number of quarries. We have 5,927 quarries in Kerala now. There will be more, but this is what is recorded by the Kerala Forest Research Institute. Out of that, less than 1,000 only is approved one, licensed one. Rest of them are all illegal. So the first sentence on this quarry business, what we said, illegal quarry should be immediately stopped. But nothing has happened even now also.
We have the old system of blasting in the quarries which is still going on. You make a big hole in the granite, fill it with explosives, blast it. Now when you blast it, the waves which it is causing spreads to long distance. And the sound waves, if you look at the sound waves, they travel the first in diamond. The next fastest medium is granite. Now whenever a blast happens, it becomes shaky. And at one point of time when there's a heavy rainfall and when the weight of the water is quite high, the soil just slides over.
Rock quarrying poses a particular threat to areas with exclusive rubber plantations because these trees cannot hold the soil firmly. Heavy rain scoops the soil and takes it downhill. But is there any way Kerala can end the lucrative business of rock quarrying? Can the demand for rocks be met from some other source?
The amount of rocks, granite pieces which we have put in Arabian Sea is huge. It has gone down. It's not doing any work over there. Now, if the government decides to take that granite back, that will be enough for many generations of consumptions to happen in Kerala.
Mining is being done unduly negligently. Windmills are being set up everywhere and the roads to windmills are constructed unduly negligently. Because if there are landslides due to those roads to the windmills, all over you can see Western Ghats, there are landslides relating to road construction for the windmills on top of the hills, the windmills get penalized in no way.
Agriculture land we had about 8.75 lakh hectares in 1975. It has come down to 1.75 lakh last year.
The environmental destruction and the monsoon disruption are a result of failed policies and a contempt for science. Today, they pose a threat to Kerala's food security, economic prosperity, and people's safety. In many places, after the storms receded, people began to remove the silt, clean up, and restore normalcy in their lives. But the question really is, are they safe in the future?
We have been talking about sustainable development for ages, but nobody is practicing that properly. We have to now definitely by rule, this is what I said the Kerala government, we should pass a resolution, unanimous resolution in the assembly saying that Kerala will have only sustainable development program hereafter.
Scientists warn that if unlawful practices continue unabated, lives and livelihoods cannot be saved.
If you are going to mine, develop and cultivate over these hilly regions with large slope and where heavy rains manifest, these floods are going to bring it down.
And so today, Kerala is at a crossroads. It has to make a choice. It must shift to a green development path or risk even more deadly disasters like floods and mudslides.
നമ്മുടെ പൂക്കൾക്ക് എന്ത് സംഭവിച്ചു, കുന്നുകൾക്ക് എന്ത് സംഭവിച്ചു, നമ്മളുടെ ജലാശയങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്ത് സംഭവിച്ചു, നമ്മളുടെ കാടുകൾക്ക് എന്ത് സംഭവിച്ചു, ഇതൊക്കെ വീണ്ടും വീണ്ടും നമ്മൾ വേദനയോടുകൂടി ഉത്കണ്ഠയോടുകൂടി നമ്മൾ ഓർക്കുന്ന അവസരങ്ങളിലാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ നാം നിൽക്കുന്നത്.
നമ്മുടെ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇവിടെ ജീവിക്കണം. നമുക്ക് പണം ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ പോരാ, ഈ തലമുറയ്ക്ക് കൂടുതൽ പണം ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ പോരാ. നമ്മുടെ മക്കൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഈ കേരളത്തെ ഇവിടെ നിലനിൽക്കാൻ അനുവദിക്കണം. വൻപണക്കാർക്കും ക്വാറി ഉടമകൾക്കും വലിയ രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടികൾക്കും ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാർക്കും എല്ലാം മാത്രം പണമുണ്ടാക്കി സുഖമായിട്ട് കുറച്ച് വർഷം ഇരുന്നിട്ട് പോകാമെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കരുത്. കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളുണ്ട മുമ്പിൽ അവരുടേതാണിതൊക്കെ, മറന്നു പോകരുത്. മഹാപാപമാണ് ഈ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, പശ്ചിമഘട്ടത്തോട് ചെയ്യുന്ന മഹാപാപമാണ്. ഇതിൽ മതം കലർത്തരുത്, ഇതിൽ വർഗീയത കലർത്തരുത്. എല്ലാം ഉരുൾപൊട്ടൽ ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോൾ, മഹാപ്രളയം വരുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഹിന്ദുവാണോ ക്രിസ്ത്യാനിയാണോ മുസ്ലിമാണോ എന്ന് ആരും നോക്കില്ല. അത് ഈശ്വരൻ്റെ ശിക്ഷയായിട്ട് വരും. പ്രകൃതിയും ഈശ്വരനും ഒന്നാണ് എന്ന് വിശ്വസിക്കുന്ന ആളാണ് ഞാൻ.